Mujtaba has dropped a fresh shocker for Trump after Iran seized 2 ships in Hormuz, framing the move as proof that Tehran can still act aggressively despite the U.S. maritime pressure campaign. Iran's latest narrative suggests the U.S. Navy was unable to prevent the ship seizures even as the vessels were trying to cross the Strait of Hormuz under heightened regional tension. Trump's earlier China-link argument has also taken a hit as Iran now claims the seized ships were tied instead to Israeli interests and to suspicious conduct at sea, not the narrative Washington had been pushing. After that maritime show of force, Iran has again snubbed direct U.S. engagement in Pakistan, with reports saying Tehran has no plans for face-to-face talks during the latest diplomatic round. Iran has released details of a ship it recently seized and moved into its own waters, identifying it as the Epaminondas. The IRGC said it took the vessel into custody on suspicion linked to maritime security violations and alleged cooperation with hostile activity during the U.S. pressure campaign. Press TV, citing an official statement on April 25, identified the seized vessel as Epaminondas. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "The vessel is a container ship that had been en route to Mundra port in India. The vessel is currently sailing under the Liberian flag. Its last recorded position dates back 2 days, near Iran's Larak Island, east of the Strait of Hormuz. According to recorded data, the ship made 36 stops at 11 different U.S. ports between October 2024 and January 2026, during which it unloaded approximately 299,000 tons of cargo." Unquote. Reports say the Epaminondas was seized alongside another vessel, MSC Francesca, on April 22. Iranian state-linked reporting said the 2 vessels were linked to Israel and were operating without authorization. The IRGC said both ships committed repeated violations and tampered with navigation aid systems. Both vessels have now been transferred to Iranian territorial waters for inspection and examination of their cargo and documents. The seizure came amid the wider Strait of Hormuz crisis, with Iran tying its maritime actions to the confrontation triggered by the U.S. naval blockade. Trump said on April 21 that U.S. forces intercepted a gift from China to Iran, according to CNBC and other outlets, claiming the seized vessel was part of Beijing's support for Tehran. Trump added that Tehran had probably done a little bit of restocking, alleging a Chinese role in helping Iran rebuild its military stockpiles, without providing specific cargo details. "We caught a ship that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice, a gift from China," Trump said, referring to the intercepted Iran-bound vessel. Trump also remarked, "I thought I had an understanding with Xi, but that's the way war goes," suggesting he believed Beijing had agreed not to arm Iran. The claim about the ship was first made publicly by former U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley, who raised the issue before Trump commented on it. Haley's allegation came in a social media post, saying the vessel refused repeated orders to stop before being intercepted, framing the episode as a deliberate defiance at sea. "It was another reminder that China is helping prop up Iran's regime," Nikki Haley added, arguing that Beijing is enabling Tehran's war effort. China's foreign ministry swiftly denied the allegations made by Trump and Haley, rejecting suggestions that Beijing had supplied weapons or military cargo to Iran. "To my knowledge, this is a foreign-flagged container ship," a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said, disputing any direct Chinese military link to the vessel. "China opposes any malicious links and hype," foreign ministry spokesman Guo Jiaquan added, calling the reports of Chinese arms for Iran baseless smears. Amid this dispute, Trump also said that he would have won the Vietnam War very quickly, drawing a comparison to how he claims he would handle past conflicts. "We have totally won the war. I wish you could hear talks we have with Iranians," Trump added, portraying the U.S. position in the current Iran war as one of decisive advantage. Tensions in the Gulf have sharply escalated after the United States seized an Iranian-linked cargo vessel, identified as Tuskar, on April 19, deepening the standoff in the region. The Tuskar was intercepted and boarded by U.S. forces off the coast of the Iranian port of Chabahar, according to statements from U.S. Central Command describing the operation as a lawful enforcement of the naval blockade. American officials claimed the vessel failed to comply with repeated warnings over a period of roughly 6 hours, prompting the decision to forcibly stop and inspect the ship. The now seized vessel may have been carrying so-called dual-use items, a Reuters report later revealed. meaning equipment or materials that could be applied to both civilian and military purposes. Maritime security sources told Reuters that the seized materials could serve both civilian industrial applications and potential military end uses, fitting within the broader definition of sanctioned cargo. U.S. officials treat certain metals, industrial pipes, and electronic components as sensitive items, because they can be used in missile systems or other weapons-related infrastructure. These same sources also noted that the Tuskar had previously been involved in transporting similar dual-use cargo, reinforcing concerns about its role in Iran's broader procurement network. By expanding the definition of what counts as contraband, the U.S. enforcement posture increases the risk that more neutral or third-country vessels could be subjected to challenge or interception at sea. Analysts warn that such actions could heighten the likelihood of a direct confrontation between U.S. forces and Iranian or Iranian-linked actors in the Strait of Hormuz area. Meanwhile, uncertainty still hangs over the second round of U.S.-Iran peace talks in Pakistan. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Pakistan on April 24th, ahead of the expected arrival of the U.S. delegation. However, Araghchi ruled out any direct talks with the U.S. side during that visit, dealing a fresh setback to Trump's diplomacy push. Reports say Iran planned only a brief Islamabad stop with no face-to-face meeting with U.S. officials. Araghchi met Pakistani officials including Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, and Iranian messaging said the visit focused on bilateral and regional issues rather than nuclear negotiations with Washington. An Iranian lawmaker and official messaging indicated that no nuclear talks with the United States were scheduled after the Araghchi-Dar meeting. Iran's top diplomat was also expected to leave Pakistan before Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner arrived for the U.S. side of the talks. On April 24th, the White House confirmed it was sending envoys to Pakistan for talks, naming Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner as the American representatives.
Made to send Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Pakistan at this point, given that there had been questions about the sincerity of Iran engaging in talks. Does this indicate that you have a better understanding of who's in charge, kind of which faction is leading that country?
Well, look, as you know, and I spoke about it earlier this week, the president was flexible in granting an extension of the ceasefire throughout this time. The president has decided to dispatch Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner back to Islamabad. The Iranians want to talk. They want to talk in person. And so the president is, as I've said many, many times to all of you, always willing to give diplomacy a chance. So Steve and Jared will be heading to Pakistan tomorrow to hear the Iranians out. We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting, and we will see. And the president, the vice president, the secretary of state will be waiting here in the United States for updates, and the vice president, I understand, is on standby and will be willing to dispatch to Pakistan if we feel it's a necessary use of his time. Go ahead, Kristen.
The first one on Iran. With this group going, does that mean that the United States has gotten any kind of unified proposal from Iran, or are they going over there without any proposal from the Iranians?
We've certainly seen some progress from the Iranian side in the last couple of days. Again, the president has made the decision to send Steve and Jared to hear the Iranians out. And so we'll see what they have to say this weekend.
Second question on Kash Patel. Does the president still have full confidence in Kash Patel to lead the FBI?
The president does still have confidence in the FBI director and in our law and order team to do what they've been doing so well over the course of the last year and a half. As you know, Kristen, and I wish more people would cover it, the crime rates in this country have completely plummeted. We're at a 125-year low in murder rates across this country. You look at what's happened in Washington, D.C., new numbers released. Murders are down nearly 60% in our nation's capital, which is something I know as all of us live here, we can be very grateful for. So the president is grateful for the efforts of the great men and women of the FBI who are help making this happen. Karen, go ahead. Sure.
Did the president sign off on that? What was his involvement, and why now after ratcheting up some of the rhetoric around that earlier this week?
As you saw, Judge Jeanine Pirro, or former Judge Jeanine, U.S. Attorney Jeanine now, put out a statement saying that the case is not necessarily dropped. It's just being moved over to the Inspector General, who has critical tools at their disposal to continue to look into the financial mismanagement at the Fed. This has obviously been a priority for the president. If you drive by the Fed building, the president has a point. This is a project that's been going on for a very long time. It's costing taxpayers billions of dollars, and I think it's in in the best interest of the taxpayer to get to the bottom of it. So the investigation still continues. It's just under a different authority, and that's what you'll continue to see.
Was the White House in touch with Senator Tillis over this, specifically given his objections?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if the White House Legislative Affairs shop was in touch with the senator, but as we've always maintained, Senator Tillis should do the right thing and move to confirm Kevin Warsh as speedily as possible. He is a phenomenal candidate to lead the Fed, and we shouldn't be holding our nation's economy hostage because of a disagreement with the Department of Justice. Go ahead, Benny.
Can you share with us what led to this reclassification of the marijuana that the president just did the other day? There's a lot of stuff on social media, like a lot of GOP isn't supportive of this, but I was just wondering if you could share kind of the process of what was behind this.
Sure. Well, as always, the president hears from a number of people, both inside and outside the administration, and frankly, the American people. If you do look at the public polling on this issue, it is overwhelmingly popular with the vast majority of Americans. And the rescheduling will lead to more research into cannabis as a drug, especially for those who need it for medical treatment. And so the president was willing to take this step to do that at the behest of the American public, who largely support it, and many of his health advisors on his team who he spoke with about it, as you saw them in the Oval Office yesterday discussing it.
Caroline. Is President Trump still looking at having the president of Lebanon and Netanyahu come here to meet at the Oval Office? And secondarily, is the president looking forward to the WHCA dinner tonight?
Yes, so we did have representatives from both Israel and Lebanon here. There was another extension of that ceasefire, which is another win for the world, for the United States, and again is evidence of President Trump and his team doing a tremendous job at negotiating for peace all across the globe. So we're very grateful to both Israel and Lebanon for choosing to work together and continuing these conversations, and we hope that there will be a day where we welcome the leaders of both countries. And yes, as for tomorrow night, I hope that we will see all of you there. I know the president is very much looking forward to it. I think it's quite fitting that in our nation's 250th year, the most transparent and accessible president will be attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the first time. And his speech will be very entertaining. That is what I will tell you. So everyone should tune in. And then finally, on a personal matter, this will likely be my last gaggle for some time. As you can see, I'm about ready to have a baby any minute. So I will see you guys very soon. I know you'll be in very good hands with my team here at the White House, and I know all of you have the president's phone number personally, so I have no doubt that you'll have a shortage of statements and news from this building while I'm gone. So we'll see you guys this weekend.